Hi everyone, welcome to another developer workshop. Today's topic we're going to be talking on building fintech apps with Paystack. I'm going to give it a few more minutes to allow people to join. And in the meantime, I'll let you get familiar with our livestock platform. So on the bottom right, there's a tab written questions. So you can post your questions in there. And then we also have the chat tab where you can all check in and just say hello and where you're joining us from. I can see already people have started with Pascal. Hi, Emmanuel from Liberia. Pleasure meeting you. Volume, please. Christopher says they can't hear me. No problemo. Oh, it's loud. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is this better? Isn't loud. Hello, am I speaking better? Can you hear me now? Please let me know if my sound is clearer, is louder. I think there was something wrong with my microphone. All right, great. Seems like everybody can hear me now. Great. Apologies for that. So as I was saying, my name is Andrew, and with me on the chat is Gertrude from the developer relations team. And so what I wanted to tell you is, since I can see everybody's familiar with the chat, and it's great to have you here, I just wanted to let you know that you can post your questions using the question tab, and Gertrude will answer them. And she will raise the ones that need my attention on the conversation. So let's get started. So for today's session, we'll be answering the questions of what defines a fintech, and we'll look at the common features of a fintech platform. And then we will see how Paystack empowers those fintech platforms to come together and build your apps. And then finally, we'll have a Q&A session. So let's get started. What's a fintech, or what is fintech? It's Africa's biggest growing tech industry with the most investment at the moment, right? But according to Investopedia, which is the dictionary definition of fintech, is new tech that seeks to improve and automate the delivery and use of financial services. So basically, it's digitizing existing services. Yeah, especially like in banking or in software. So what are some of the use cases we have? Existing use cases are in savings and investments, startups like Cowrywise and PiggyVest in Nigeria. We have online payments, Paystack. We have online accounting like Accountier, and also digital banking. Are there other subsectors you know of that that shares this characteristic of fintech? Okay. Anybody can post in the chat other sectors. Agency banking from Tolu. Yes, that is very true. That too counts as fintech. What are the other industries? Lending, that is also very true. Lending and loan providers is also part of fintech. Digital wallets as well, salary advance, exactly. So we're all on the same page regarding what a fintech is and the use cases. So these are some of our biggest customers on Paystack who use, these are some of our customers who use Paystack to power their fintech platforms, from lending to payroll management to even back office operations like digital banking. Paystack has been in the background processing and helping these businesses, these entrepreneurs, and their developers bring their vision to reality. So what are the common features of fintechs, right? First of all, you need a way to move money in, so funding, moving money from, let's say, your card, your mobile money account, your bank account, wherever. That's the first step in a fintech platform needs, is a way to move money from one account to onto the platform. The second thing is moving funds around. So moving funds from the app to real bank accounts or to older ways of storing money. For example, if we think of when you want to pay your bills or when you want to give out some money, you can use your Kuda app and make a transfer to the person you're paying to, or make a transfer to your utility provider. And even that, in the background, we'll have Paystack running. We also have P2P movements, P2P transfers, which is within the app ecosystem. So what's happening there is that a user on my platform wants to transfer to Pascal on the same platform. That transfer happens in the background, and that doesn't involve Paystack. As we'll go on, sorry, IK says my audio is cracking. Apologies. Could it be internet related? All right, can you hear me better? Good, good. Can you hear me now? So the last thing I wanted to mention is automated payments. So scheduled or automated and automated. Now still cracking. Right, I've changed my ISP. Can you guys hear me? Favor IK. Is everything better now? I've changed my internet. Should be clear now. Distorted. Okay. We were looking at the common features that most common features that fintechs platforms have. So I had mentioned the funding. We're moving money from one account to the app. Mentioned transfers, where we move money to other outside the platform and the app, or within the platform. So for instance, if you're building a wallet app, you might want to make a transfer to somebody who's not on the wallet, and so you can just use transfers API to do that. But if you're building a peer-to-peer wallet system where somebody has to pay somebody who is within the same system, then that requires you to do the transfers on your end, but not have Paystack involved. And then finally, we get to automation. So the common feature of fintech platforms is automated payments, scheduled payments, or even savings. For instance, if I have a savings app that requires me to put deposit every month, then I can use Paystack for that. or if I'm building an app that requires fintech app that requires loan collection at a set interval, that too would work. For instance, buy now, pay later businesses. So the three common features of fintechs is funding, transferring, and automating. Right. So I'll pause there and take one or two questions that have come up based on this. I can see a lot have been answered by Trudy, so I'll just pick one here from Wanda. Wanda is asking, how do I activate dollar currency on my account because I'm from Ghana? So right now, due to regulatory environment, we cannot enable dollar collection for Paystack accounts, but it is something we are watching and working with regulators with to see whether it can happen anytime soon. But at the moment, you cannot do dollar current collections while you're in Ghana. Wanda, I hope I've answered that question. All right. Somebody is asking about Adebayo. Adebayo is asking, does Paystack have direct debit API? Not at the moment. This would be a great feature. So just for anybody wondering what direct debit means, direct debit is being able to get debit a customer's account directly from through Paystack. At the moment, that is not yet available, but we are working on it. And be sure to stay tuned because we will announce it once we're done. Yeah, API for direct. Does Paystack have virtual cards? Timmy is asking, does Paystack have APIs for virtual cards? Not at the moment. Not at the moment. Also, something else we're working on. It should be out soon. We should have something for you soon, and you'd hear it, Timmy. Stay tuned. Again, exciting things coming up, but stay tuned for this. At the moment, we don't have virtual cards. Thanks for asking. Who else? Kingsley is asking, can I use Paystack to build a wallet app in the sense that I can transfer money from one account to another, and what are the requirements? Kingsley, this is exactly what we are going to demo today, a sort of wallet application that will be able to show you how to transfer money from one account to another and what are the requirements. There are a few licensing requirements you may have, but at least on a technical aspect, we'll show you today how to do that. Thank you, Kingsley. Great. For the other questions, we will get to them at the end of this next section. Great. Let me move on to the next question, to the next part. So in funding, so this is moving money from card, bank, different channels into the app. And for Nigeria, we have card, we have bank, pay with bank, we have pay with transfer, we have USSD, pay attitude, and Visa QR. And this is what is shown on the screenshot on your right. All these channels are available on the Paystack checkout, so you do not need to integrate them separately. You can just have them on the checkout once and for all and made available to all your customers. In Ghana, it's card and mobile money. And South Africa is card, EFT, Masterpass, and SnapScan. For all these other countries, we are working to add more payment channels. We want to add even more localized payment channels. Like for instance, in Ghana, mobile money is predominantly the biggest payment channel for online transactions. And so we focused a lot on card and mobile money and ensuring it is available. Right, so let's get down into the into the into the code. So just give me a second. Let me share my screen so we're all able to see what I'm doing. Apologies for the infinite scroll. Great. Can everybody see the demo wallets? Yes, seems like everybody can. Good. So we have a wallet app here. We've built a simple wallet app. It's running on my local host. Essentially what it does is to allow a new user to top up their balances and then make transfers to their recipients. And so pay-ins are what you receive in. So whether it's a top up or somebody making a transfer into your account, payouts is when you make a transfer out. So when you want to pay from your wallet outside the application to a real bank account, for instance. So we're going to see, and then recipients are transfer recipients, and these are people created on the Paystack API, and then they're the ones who you make transfer from your wallet to their bank accounts. So real quickly, let's get into the code. And please let me know if my screen is visible. VS Code. Yes, it seems it is. Great. So the first things we're going to do is we're going to walk through a new top up using a non-existing card. So let's first get a new user. Let's first register this user. Let's go to sign up. This is our sign up. So we create a new user. Let's call him Fintech Bob. Bob at fintech.com, and then we create him. So Bob this is the first time coming into our wallets demo. They have 0 CDs. They haven't done any payouts. They haven't added any recipients. So the first things first is to top up the account. So we're going to top up 3,000 CDs. And just to say that even if I'm using Ghana CDs, you can use Rand, you can use Naira. It's all dependent on the API keys you're using, you're passing to Paystack. So for Nigerian registered businesses, USD and Naira are available, but for Ghana and South Africa, you'll have to use the local currencies. Okay, great. So for this demo, I'm going to top up my account using my Visa card. I'm giving it 3K. Paystack says payment successful to Andrew and Daughters, my great fintech business. And when we are back here, we find that the pay-in has reflected the amount and my wallet has been updated. Right. With that simple action, 3 things have happened. So the first thing is that we've initialized the transaction to Paystack, and we've been redirected to the URL, to the authorization URL, opened the checkout, and paid successfully. So if I was to come here into my controller, the function is called wallet top up. So this is where we're topping up the wallet for the first time. And the reason we're doing this, or the reason why they have to do one first transaction, an initial transaction before they can now automate it, is so that we can tokenize the card, which I will show you in a bit. So looking at the code, we're initializing Paystack, we're using the Paystack Ruby library, and we're loading the public key and the private key through environment variables. It is very, very important for us to say and repeat again that you should always use you should always store your API keys outside of your code base, so into environment variables. that is the safest way to make sure they don't get compromised. We even tell you not to store them in your Git, not to have them checked onto your code, your version control systems. That's like Git and the likes, SVN. So moving on. So we initialize the Paystack transaction with the credentials. So at Paystack is the credentials, and then we now top up the wallet via the initialized transaction. So we have the email and then the amount, which we're multiplying by 100. Does anybody know why? Why are we multiplying by 100? The answer is in that comment. Converting to the lowest currency unit. This is the answer. So for Paystack, we charge in the lowest currency unit. So if it's in CDs, it's peso. If it's naira, it's kobo, and if it's dollars, it's cents. So before you send any amounts to Paystack, always make sure you've multiplied by 100 in order for you to get the full amount. So if you checked the browser here, I'd set it at 3,000, but when I'm sending to Paystack, it will be 3,000 by 100, which is 300,000. But then Paystack is smart enough; it knows that you want the full amount, so it converts it back to the Naira CD or cents amount. Okay, so we redirect to the authorization URL, which is just taking you back again. This time, let's use a different amount. Let's use 3010. Great, and so this is what we are redirecting to. This is called Paystack Redirect. You notice this is a page hosted by Paystack that loads the checkout. The reason why we use this is because if you do the pop-up, sometimes the request is played with before it hits Paystack servers, and so customers end up paying less than what they're supposed to pay. But using the redirect is one of the most secure ways, because the transaction has been started by my server right here. This is all the servers communicating with Paystack, and then we get the result and we return it to the front end, which then opens this. So let's complete this transaction one last time. And we're good. And now when we come back and we refresh, we've got another transaction. Yeah. Okay. So I'll pause there. Just let me stop my share. I'll pause there and get to questions if there are any new questions that have come. I can see people say converting to Kobo. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Tochukwu. You're very right. So something else we're going to share right now is how did Andrew find out, or how did the app find out that you've made a successful transaction? And the answer is in the service called Webhooks. So what are webhooks? Let me switch to our documentation so I can share what webhooks are. So webhooks essentially are Paystack updating your server about the work we have done. So on the right here, you see that once you've sent in the request, your server says, charge this person, and then we send you via webhooks, we send you an update saying we've charged them successfully, and you just have to say thank you. In comparison to polling is where your server keeps requesting more updates from Paystack, and you see the amount of calls you have to make. first of all, there are very many and inefficient, because if we haven't completed charging the customer, then the answers we're giving you are not necessary. But through webhooks, you can sit back lazily and just wait for Paystack to tell you, hey, we are done with this. Come and take a look. And so the best practices for webhooks is to, first of all, always acknowledge it with okay, 200 okay. So you send 200 okay first as the first step, and then now you begin the webhook processing. So what we have here is that we have a worker that is going to go through the webhook request payload and pull out the relevant data depending on what what the event is. So if we take a look at the webhook worker right now, so we've gotten the JSON payload, the JSON webhook payload, right? And it says, it's logging. This is the payload we've gotten, a success. Then now we get into the event. So when it's a deposit event, we're expecting charge.success. And therefore we pass it on to the add balance function, which will then come and top up the user's wallet, right? Wallet increment. So if we go through the supported events on the dashboard, you'll find that we have many events, but for transactions in particular, the event is called charge.success. So this is the event that you listen to when somebody is paying into the wallet. This is to ensure that, so you'll use the charge.success event, and then the amount, remember, this is in Kobo, this is in pesos, it's in everything. It's in the lowest currency unit, cents as well. And therefore you have to convert it back to the big unit. So by dividing by 100 and then updating the wallet. If this was to be shown on the live webhook events, because this app is on my local, as you can clearly see, to test webhooks, you'd need to tunnel your local app and then upload using ngrok. So we use ngrok for other people. So this is sending the webhook event to my local host. If you were to do this without, if you were to put like your webhook URL on the dashboard as I just want to show, as a local host or your local host, it will not work. The requirements we have for webhooks has to be HTTPS. So secure web, publicly accessible and secure URL. So looking at this event, we have the charge.success, we have the reference, which we'll find again here, and then the amounts and the responses. Something else that is worth noting is the authorization object. Now, something about the authorization is the tokenized version of the card. So if you can think of when you are taking an Uber or a Bolt or a Taxify or those kind of applications, you don't, and you're paying with card, you don't always enter your card whenever you finish the trip. Instead, you'll have Visa ending with 4081, pay with Visa ending with with the last 4 digits, or you'll have a card that says pay with a card issued by this other bank. And so that's the feature we have here. So when you're topping up using a saved card, we got these details, this saved card information from the authorization object. So this is what you use to save the save a customer's card that is the secured tokenized version. So for that, let me stop sharing my screen. And let me switch back to the presentation. Great. Are there any questions so far about the funding and webhooks so far? Okay, I can see a few that have come in. I'll take one from IK. All right, IK is asking, how can I know the webhook link to add to my website? So you are the one who creates the webhook link, IK. So essentially what you're doing is you're telling Paystack where you want us to send all these webhook information to. So you are the one to define it. And then you add it to your dashboard. And from once you've added it to the dashboard, and then now you just implement logic to categorize the events according to what you want. So if I go back, let me just go back to the code so that I can show you what I mean, IK. So if I come here to my controller, the controller that's receiving the webhook is called webhook events. So the path would be my website example.com/webhook events. So I put this link to on my Paystack dashboard. And then now, when Paystack sends the payload, it comes to my webhook events. And then in my processor, in what is processing, so I say, thank you, Paystack, because if you take too long, the request will time out. And then I come here and now I start categorizing events. So if for our wallet application, we are tracking deposit events, which is the charge.success. And we're also tracking the transfer events, which is transfer.success. And then there's a logic flow of when it's charge.success, we're adding the balance. We're adding balance to the wallet. We're adding to the wallet, to the user's wallet. When it's transfer.success, we are deducting from the user's wallet. So, and then any other event, we are just logging it for this application. But you can have different logic flows for different applications depending on the feature set and how detailed your fintech platform is. I hope I've answered your question, IK. There's another one that has come in. What is on which scenario can I use callback or webhook? That's a good question. Allow me to, again, share my screen so that I can just explain this one last time. So Kingsley, this is a question from Kingsley. So what scenario do I use callback or webhook? So callback is used in the front end when you want to redirect the customer to a certain URL and you want to keep track of that. So it happens on the front end. Webhook, on the other hand, is on the back end. So you're not redirecting. Rather, it's Paystack servers talking to your servers, to your back end. That's when a webhook. Which scenario can I use callback? Always use webhook. We strongly recommend always use webhook because for callbacks, they are affected by network issues. So if, for instance, the user's network drops whilst you're redirecting them to your callback URL, you may not receive it and you may not be able to mark the transaction as successful. But with webhooks, we also have a retry mechanism. So if at first we don't receive 200 OK, then we will send 4 other attempts within an hour, just trying to tell your server, hey, we have this payment has been made. Kingsley has made this payment. Kingsley has made this deposit until we receive the 200 OK. If we don't receive the 200 OK after that, then we will send once the same event once per hour for 72 hours. And you can see all this in our documentation on Webhooks, Kingsley. But I hope this clarifies the difference between callback and Webhooks. Great. Peter is asking, can this solution be used on a website to collect money into wallet? Yes, it can. What I'm just demonstrating today is a wallet application, and where the balances are stored by you, the developer. Meanwhile, Paystack is playing a role in the collection, so collecting from the customer, like what I've just shown, and then notifying you to updating you so that you can update the user's wallet to say your deposit has been received successfully. Cool. So let's move on. Transfers. So Paystack we also empower transfers in all the 3 markets. For Nigeria and South Africa, you do transfers to bank accounts. And for Ghana, we do it to mobile money accounts. So if I was to show you how this works, just allow me to let me share my screen again. So transfers, essentially, it's you need to create a transfer recipient, and then with the recipient code you receive, initiate a transfer. So, for instance, with mobile money, you'll get the account number, which is this, and then the bank code is MTN. So for mobile money, the parameter is still bank code, and then you get the recipient code, right? Once you have this code, that is what you use the recipient code and the amount and source to create a transfer. So on our app, that would go here on the payouts. So the first thing is to create a recipient. So let's go ahead and create our recipient. So we'll give them a name, Devrel Fintech. And because we're in test, the account number will just be 00 and 013. If you come to our test payments, you can use some of the accounts here for transfers and for testing out. We also have various cards that mock various user flows that you can use while testing your application. So for instance, we use this one by default a lot on the checkout, but you can also check the phone and OTP validation, bank authorization simulation, and the like, and also field cards just to see how Paystack behaves. So for this one, we're creating a recipient, Devrel Fintech, with this account number and that. So the recipient has been created. This is the code. So what we'll do when we're creating a payout, use Paystack. The recipient code is generated by Paystack. So Paystack understands the recipient code. And if we come to your dashboard, you'll find even the recipient is created as well here. Give me 1 second. So these are all the recipients. And so if you use, so the RCP code, the recipient code that we are displaying here is actually created by Paystack, and then we follow it here. And so when you're creating a new transfer, we use the recipient code and not even the bank details or the mobile money details of the customer. And so that's what you send to Paystack. The recipient code and the amount and where you want us to get the money from. Right now, it's always going to be your balance. So we deduct your transfers amount from your balance. There's also the option of using the authorization code to create a recipient code as well. And like I mentioned previously, the authorization code is what is used for recurring payments. So when a customer makes a first transaction, and then the next time they're back, you don't want them to enter their card details again. You'll use the authorization code. The recurring payments flow. We'll dig deeper into that just a bit, but I just wanted to highlight creating a transfer. So you take the recipient code, the amount, and then you give a reason and send to us. Now, we will queue it up, and then we'll also send again webhooks after a successful transaction. So after a successful transfer, and this is how it looks. And so, like in our app here, when the event says, when the data event says transfer.success, which is this, then we use that data to top up the wallet. So to deduct from the customer's wallet. So from when we were depositing, we were using the add balance function, which was adding to the customer's wallet. Now, when the person makes a transfer, we use the remove transfer function. And you see all this is happening way after I have told Paystack, thank you for sending the event. I will take it up from here. So if you come to the webhook controller and you see the webhook events, the first thing we're doing again is acknowledging the data and then pushing it to our worker. So just reiterating and repeating that the best practice for webhooks is always acknowledge the event first, and then now start processing it using your queues. Let me switch back to what we are having, to the presentation. So, like I said, for Nigeria and South Africa, transfers go to bank accounts, while for Ghana, it's mobile money accounts. I've just shown you a really quick demo of that. And then I want to pause here at the automation and answer a few questions. Let me load up the questions. Oh, Denise. Okay, I think Denise, the next section will answer your question, so I like it. Okay, another question about webhooks from IK. IK is, does the webhook link have to be an imaginary link or an existing page in my website? It has to be an existing page. Or what do you mean by imaginary link? It has to be an actual link that Paystack can send data to. It has to be a link that Paystack can send data to. Why? Because you're using that data to provide value to your customers on your platform. So what is the point of having the webhook URL or webhook link not do anything to your customers? I hope that adds more clarity to what you're asking, IK. Kingsley is asking, do I need to turn off the OTP validation in a system where I want my customer to transfer money to the bank account? So these are two different things. For transfers, you should switch off the OTP requirement when you're building a fully automated system. So if you have, because the OTP requirement is there as a security check, but then at a scale of when you do 200 transfers an hour, Kingsley, I don't think it's reasonable to have somebody whose job is just to keep sending OTPs, right? So you can turn off OTP validation on transfers to build a fully automated system. Kazim asks, we will only send the transfer code in the request. How about the recipient bank account details to receive the transfer? Good question, Kazim. You don't need to send the, so you only send, let me show you just what I mean. So when you're creating the transfer recipient, right, is when you need to submit the account number, the bank code, the currency, everything, right? But once we've successfully created them, when you're transferring to this person you've created, to the transfer recipient, you'll only need to use the recipient code. Paystack will understand that, will match the recipient code to the bank account details that you used to create them. I hope this answers your question, Kazim. All right, great. So moving on to the next one. Let me just switch over to sharing the presentation. Oh, what's happening? Sorry, forgive me for that. Great. Can we all see my presentation? Hopefully. So now we've come to the stage we're being asked about automations, right? And so in Paystack's terms, there's two ways of doing making automations happen. First one is subscriptions. So a subscription is a preset schedule with a fixed amount. The second thing is recurring charges, variable amounts, and varying schedule. So if we were to look at subscriptions, this is best used for businesses or for models where the amounts are fixed and are not about to change, and then the interval or the time of the charging is varies from time to time. So if you can think of savings and investments, so you tell somebody, I want to be saving 100 naira, 100 CD, well, let's say 1,000 CDs, 1,000 naira every week or every month or daily. Subscriptions would work for you. If you have a buy now, pay later product, let's say buy a laptop and pay it off in 5 months, subscriptions works for you. Also bill automations. If your platform is online bills processing or payments, subscriptions as well work for you. We've done a webinar before on subscriptions, and there's also the sample app on our GitHub open source repository that you can check out to further understand how to use subscriptions in your business. And finally, the biggest benefit for subscriptions as a developer or as a user is that Paystack automatically does the charging. So what does that mean? It means that every month or every week, you don't have to set up cron jobs or set up background processes to keep charging the customer's card at periodically. Rather, Paystack handles that automatically for you and sends you webhooks so that you can update the wallet and let the user know that a transaction has happened on their end. The second role of automation is recurring charges. So you send the amount and the charge and the amount to charge and the card, the tokenized card. Remember the authorization object that we talked about earlier, to Paystack, and we will do the charging for you. This is usually for returning customers or for loan collection. So I put loan collection, and I should add an asterisk there to say that loan collection, this is best used for even customers who want to default on the loans, and at the time of the subscription they did not have enough funds, and so midway through you can check using the charge authorization endpoint. I'll just do you a quick walk through the docs for that, and I hope it'll make it clearer. Please let me know if you can all see my screen. So the recurring charges, right? You first ask the customer to pay their first transaction. And one thing to note is that recurring charges and subscriptions work mainly only with cards for now. We say for now because there's work in progress. So you first have to charge the first transaction, like what we did with our user here. Their first few transactions, we charged them, and they had to go through the checkout for them to do their top ups. But after the first transaction, you can now use this. This uses the authorization code. This feature is using the recurring charges endpoint, the charge authorization endpoint. And so after you've charged them the first time, then you use the authorization object, what I was talking about, and then when you're sending it, so let me take it a bit slower here. So we'll use the authorization code, the customer's email, the email the customer used during the first transaction, the authorization code, and then the amount to charge, right? But these details here allow you to create a more user-friendly message on the card on your interface. So like here, you can, using a saved card, and then we can add card ending with 4081, card ending with 4081. If we changed it, because we have a few other cards, we can top up, and you will see this in action. Let's use one of the test cards just to show you what I mean. Test payments, and we can use this guy, PIN validation. So use another card here. So we put that, and then we copy the expiry and the CVV. So this is a Verve. What is the PIN? Is 111, and so we enter the PIN. Success. So if we come to our webhook events, right here. So this is, I'm using NGRock's Web Inspector. It's a very good tool to use. You'll see here the authorization code, and then the last four is now 7812. And so using that authorization data, we've saved that Fintech Bob also owns a card that ends with 7812. So ideally, when they're in this feature, we'll use, so when they're paying with this, we are using the charge authorization endpoint, which is here. So the charge authorization is where we're sending the authorization code, the email. So this email is the email they used on the first transaction. So if you check, if we send, so Bob at fintech.com owns this authorization code. So if we sent it with a different email. If we send this authorization code to the charge authorization endpoint with a different email, it will not go through. You'll get errors, and you always have to ensure you have the right email and right authorization code matching. And then you send the amount. And then once that's done, we send charge attempted. And when it's successful, again, it will be a charge.success event with everything broken down into it. And you can just top up Bob's wallet. And now his balance is now 8,010 CDs. So yeah, so let me stop sharing that and share the presentation. And so now what I wanted to show the difference is that for recurring charges, you're the one, it's a push action. So you're the one telling Paystack to pay. For subscriptions, you tell us once and we will charge it according to the set precedent, or according to the set intervals in place. So that is the end of my presentation. We will send the recordings to you via email. Before we close, let's do one last round of questions, if there are any. Let me see. So, yes, Denise, I hope I've answered your question using the subscription. So if a customer subscribes to a payment plan of 5 months and some other monthly Paystack charge to the customer fails, is a retry possible within the Paystack API? So this is interesting. So are you saying that you're using the subscriptions Paystack subscriptions endpoint, or are you using the recurring charges endpoint? It would be interesting to know. So for subscriptions, we do not retry, but we send you a webhook stating that the subscription has failed, and you also have a chance of sending the customer a page where they can update their card details. So yeah, so but if they subscribe to a payment for 5 months and it's a monthly payment, we will charge charge the customer at the set date every month. And yeah, you don't have to worry, you just have to listen to the webhook events. Another question. Peter is asking, do I need a web page for my website for the wallet? I mean, you can have an app. So what I've built here is a web platform, but you can use it you can build a mobile app. What is needed is a server. So for wallet systems, it's really, really important to have like a server that listens to the backend, a backend that is keeping track of people's updates, and then the front end is just to make sure you're notifying the people online. You're notifying the right people about the right stuff. Great. If you have any further questions, I want to say thank you very, very much for your time. If you have any further questions, you can join us on Paystack and ask us there, or you can send an email to techsupport@paystack.com. We will send you the recording and slides for all of this, as well as upload the code sample onto our Paystack OSS repository, GitHub. But you can go ahead and explore these other repositories here, and we will take a look at them. Thank you very, very much for your time. Feel free to reach us. Thank you very much for joining us. This has been a wonderful session. Hope to catch you in the next one. Okay, a few more questions have come in. Okay, yes, Mark is asking, in the mobile money API Android, do I have to open WebView all the time for the user to accept payment before it can go through? Yes, mobile money currently does not have recurring charges, if that's what you're asking. Recurring charges are only supported on cards for the moment. Thank you very much, everybody. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.